Hey guys, Kristin LaVanway here, and guess what? We're in a real estate frenzy. Oh yeah, if you don't know what a real estate frenzy is, there's actually a technical definition for it provided by the awesome Michael Orr, real estate guru. A real estate frenzy is when there are more homes under contract than there are actively on the market. So that means there's way more buyers than sellers, and it makes you crazy like a frenzy. A real estate frenzy is not the same as a real estate bubble. The real estate bubble that kicked off in 2006 and then popped in 2007 and 8, that's when you have people who are buying homes with no intention of living in them. They see the prices going up and they're speculating. They're buying a home thinking they're going to keep it for 6 months or a year and then sell it and make oodles of money. And back then, people were over leveraging. They were going in with 100% financing, sometimes more than 100% financing, and again, no intention of living in the home. So when the property started to devalue and they were upside down, they just walked away. Versus right now what's happening is people are buying the homes to live in them. They aren't over leveraging. Yes, some of the people that are going in buying a home with a low down payment, but they're well qualified buyers. And the investors these days are buying the homes with at least 20% down, and many of them are actually paying cash for the whole thing. So if property values tap out or even start to decline a little, all of these people are really in good shape, right? Back then, yes, at some point you knew that was going to have to end when you see all of these vacant homes and you just think this is crazy. This is just crazy because there's not enough houses to go around. Okay, what do you do if you're a buyer or a seller in a real estate frenzy? Well, here's a couple tips for you. If you're a buyer, know that you're going to go out and you're going to think, well, I have a pretty good budget, right? I want to buy a home in one of the hottest cities in Metro Phoenix right now, Chandler, Gilbert. The whole East Valley is on fire, but that's where you want to live, and that's cool. You've got maybe $400,000 to spend. You think you've got all these choices. You start looking, you're like, where are all the houses for sale? They're coming on the market and selling so quickly that there's just not a lot to choose from. So the key there, of course, as always, like I always say, you got to have your ducks in a row, have a good game plan, be ready to pull the trigger as soon as you see one of those great houses come on the market. Okay? When you go in a house and you see a parade of people going and looking at that property, no, it's probably going to be under contract in 1 or 2 days. That's just the reality of it. You might be facing a situation where there's multiple offers, and don't be afraid of that. I know there's people that are like, I don't want to do a bidding war, I'm afraid of a bidding war. But guess what? You can't win if you don't play. So put in the offer. Put your strongest offer in. Know that sellers are going to be looking at a bunch of offers. They're going to try and pick the offer that's going to give them the best deal, and you want to be in that top tier. So put your top offer in. Try and sweeten it as much as you can. I'm sorry to say, if you're looking for closing cost assistance, it's hard in a market like this because it definitely puts you at a disadvantage. Does the seller need post-possession? Can you maybe reduce the inspection time? Make sure you have a really good closing date, 30 days or less sometimes, or whatever works for the seller, you know? Do what you can to sweeten the pot. There's a couple of little tricks that people use to try and give them an advantage. One would be the escalation clause. This is where you put a clause in the contract that says, I'll pay $500 more than the next top guy. I'll top that price by $500. And that's a great idea as long as you limit it, right? Realize what you're saying there, that you have to be willing to pay that top price. The other is the appraisal contingency. Now, this is a contingency in the contract that protects you if the home doesn't appraise for the purchase price. If that happens, you can go back to the seller and negotiate, or you can cancel the contract. People in a real estate frenzy are often tempted to just waive the appraisal contingency out of hand. But you need to know what you're saying there, right? Because maybe you're offering a little more than the purchase price and you're thinking, well, it'll appraise for at least the purchase price. Well, it may not, because when the market is this hot and prices are going up this fast. Right now, we're looking at an annual appreciation rate of 7.1%. That's not normal, and it's hard for appraisers to keep up with that pace. So we may see a lot of appraisal challenges coming up. They may not appraise for the original asking price. It might be below that, and you might find yourself in a $25,000, $30,000 deficit. You have to bring that cash to the closing table. That's crazy. So if you're going to waive the appraisal contingency, really think about what that means. Know what the market value is, know what the risks are, and make a limitation on what you're willing to put in, in cash. And then the last thing, of course, is if you miss out on your dream house, just know there's always another dream house around the corner. I have seen it countless times. Don't go crazy. Don't think it's your last hope to get the best house ever. No, the best house ever is the one that you move into and make your own. And there's lots of those that work. So be patient. It's so important to be patient in a market like this and just operate within your means. You will be successful. Now, what if you're a seller? You might be thinking, this is a dream come true. I got buyers offering me their firstborn to buy my house. They're throwing in cookies and trips to Hawaii just for the chance to buy my house. You might think this is great. Well, it can be, but it can also be very, very difficult. You're going to be looking at a lot of times at multiple offers. You really need an experienced professional to help you go through those offers and determine which one is really the best for you. Sometimes it's not the highest offer. Sometimes it's the offer that's most likely to close, and it's going to put the money in your pocket. Because here's the thing in a frenzy. Selling your house quickly is key. That frenzy stuff goes away after about a week, maybe 2 weeks tops. So if you don't get your house under contract right away, or it falls out and comes back on the market, you're not going to make as much money. You can't just throw your house there. You can't be lazy and just say, oh, here's this house. I know people are just going to be going crazy trying to buy it. No, buyers want really nice houses. They want houses that are fixed up, that don't look like they have to pour money into them once they move in. Remember, a lot of the buyers right now are going to be buying at the top of their budget. They're not going to have a lot of extra money. So you need to market it smart. You need to get as many eyeballs through that house as you possibly can in order to, take advantage of the hot market that you're seeing. And super important, super important, you need to price the house correctly. If you overprice your house, you're going to be kicking yourself because you're going to miss the boat. So it's really important that you price it correctly. Yeah, you need to see where the market's headed, and if it's headed up, you might want to try and, go in that direction, but don't overprice it. You will regret it. You will make less money. We've had these frenzies before. Right now, it's hard to say how long it's going to last. Like I said, we're at 7.1% annual appreciation rate. That cannot sustain for very long. What's going to eventually happen is we're going to either have more sellers listing their homes because they can make more money, and that's going to raise up the inventory and take down the frenziness, or buyers are going to tap out and the demand will reduce. So one way or another, we're going to head for equilibrium. We're probably going to have a couple months of this, but probably towards the end of summer, beginning of fall, it'll start to kind of level off. Buyers may be tempted to wait. You might be thinking, well, if I just wait for the market to cool down, it's maybe going to be easier. It might be easier, but it might still cost you more. Interest rates probably headed up this year. Prices definitely heading up this year. So, weigh all that into your decision-making process. And sellers, yeah, this is a great time to sell. Whatever you want to do that involves selling your house, it's easier to do when there's way more buyers out there than houses. So if you have any questions or comments, if you want to jump on board the frenzy train, well, you know where to find me. Kristin at hereinphoenix.com, that's where. Go out there and make it a beautiful day.